All right. As promised, we're going to talk about the LA Kings. The Kings made a really tough decision a little while ago in which they decided to part ways with both Dean Lombardi and Daryl Sutter. They promoted Rob Blake to general manager. They promoted John Stevens, one of the assistants, and they promoted our next guest, friend of the show, Luc Robitaille. Although, Luc, I have to tell you, I thought you were running everything before. So what shows you what I know. What's the difference between the job you had 10 days ago and the job you have now?
I think probably the biggest difference is before, we'd have discussions about the hockey team, about hockey expense and players' expenses. Now it's on me if we screw it up.
All right, so the dreaded wins and losses have fallen on your doorstep now, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Before that, basically, it would be I would take credit when we won, and then point the finger when we lost. Now it's all on me.
I know that world well.
No, it's a little bit different. Like we would always have discussions. I think structurally we were structured a little bit different. And now it's just like it looks more like a pyramid the way our organization is structured.
So winning the Stanley Cup doesn't get you as far as we thought it would in this town, huh? Like they won a couple of cups and to 3 years later they're out. Like what is that? Did they raise expectations too much? And then
I think sports is tough. I mean, the demands are great. I think everybody realizes in this city, the competition, the way it's going to be, and because of our success, the expectations are greater than they've ever been. And I think everyone realizes in our organization, our window to compete for the Stanley Cup is we probably have about 5 years left. So it certainly, it changes, and you look at decision making and so forth, and probably in that way.
Luc Robitaille, who is the new head of the LA Kings, and Luc has as his first move has appointed Rob Blake as the general manager of the Kings, and John Stevens is going to be the coach. Luc, let me just ask you a philosophy question. Normally, when two guys get replaced who are as high profile as Lombardi and Sutter, you're going to bring at least somebody in from the outside and get some opinions that maybe weren't in the building before. Mm-hmm. All three guys who got these jobs, including you, so Rob Blake, John Stevens, and you, were all there last year. You guys were part of the team that won the Cups. You were also part of the team that failed. So, and I'm not asking this disrespectfully, but I'm wondering, why did those guys get fired, but you guys got promoted?
It's just the way it is. I mean, I really tell you the truth, I probably can't get into too many details.
Okay.
But I think as far as an organization for us is we're looking, we need to change the philosophy moving forward a little bit, and we're confident that Rob has this a little bit of his own philosophy on changing our team, and so does John Stevens. And at the same time, by keeping them, what we were doing, which was correct, like example, we're one of the best defensive team in the NHL.
Right, and that was John, right?
That, but at the same time, we're all aware that we need to win. We need to score more goals. So John Stevens convinced Rob Blake that he was able to bring that. At the same time, we'll be able to bring in two new assistant coaches. We definitely want new voices, and we want to hire a very specific offensive guy at one of the two positions. That his job will be a little bit like football, where you call him an offensive coordinator.
Gotcha.
Where his job will be strictly to design and work on our offensive game, and we think that could be very, very helpful for our players and John Stevens too. And I think we're all on board with that philosophy.
When Steve was when you guys won the Cup, I remember we were all along for the ride, right? I remember every single day, Steve Mason and John Ireland and I were hosting radio shows.
Yeah.
And
we used to say we're not hockey fans, but we're huge Kings fans.
Yeah.
And when you have that experience as a franchise and your fans go with you on it, you want to taste it again. And I think there's that every Kings fan I know, I was a little surprised by it when it happened, but every Kings fan I know felt like this was like I think we're the non-hockey people were less surprised, were more surprised than the hockey people. Did you get that sense from your fans? Like, was there a clamoring from the groundswell up? Or?
Yeah, I think our fans expecting some change. You never know what's going to happen. You know, it comes from the top, but our fans definitely expected some changes. I mean, you know, we're at the mercy of our success. You know, the expectation are very, very high. We expect a lot as an organization, which is great. The Kings for almost 45 years were never in that position, and that has changed, and we're grateful for what Dean and Darryl have done. At the same time, I think you got to give credit to a guy like Dean Lombardi. He was in San Jose, and he groomed Doug Wilson, who's still the GM there. He's done an amazing job. He groomed Ron Hextall, who's become a great GM in Philly. And I think, you know, he groomed Rob Blake, that everybody knows will become a great GM. And that being said, you know, I'm very confident that if Dean wants another job to build another organization, you know, from the ground up the way he did it with us in San Jose, he's going to get another job. I mean, he's a brilliant man.
Luc Robitaille with us, and we're talking about the changes the Kings have made recently. You know, you understand the sport so much better than most of us laymen do, and I went to a couple of Kings games this year, and for the life of me, Luc, I don't understand how you didn't make the playoffs. I thought Doughty was spectacular. I thought Quick was an unbelievable goaltender. We still had Kopitar. We still had Dustin Brown. You know, it seemed to me like we had size, we had speed. So answer this any way you want. Why didn't this team make the playoffs?
You know, there were things that behind the scene that probably needs to be corrected that we're gonna need to work on. And unfortunately, like a little bit earlier, and I'm boring. I can't get into too many details. But there's definitely one thing that we know we need to address as an organization is we need to play faster. It doesn't mean our players are slow, but we need to play faster. And that's the one thing that we understand, the game, the way it's played today. If you're catching any playoff game and you're watching Edmonton and Pittsburgh play and even Ottawa and even the way Nashville's playing right now, the game is being played at a very, very high pace. And if we want to adjust with that, we don't want to give up what we're good at, but we're going to have to address that for sure.
All right, so we're going to get a Houston Rockets Mike D'Antoni treatment maybe and pick up the pace. That actually sounds fun. Luc, I know some of these were not easy questions. We appreciate
That's all right.
We appreciate you doing it.
Yeah, your fans want it.
And in all seriousness, congratulations on your new gig. Now, you know, we used to always be pleasant and smile, and now when we see you, we'll yell at you and say, "Why'd you lose last night?"
Exactly.
Well, you can
I
never tell the difference, right?
Keep me honest.
There you go.
People always say Luke, and you can't tell.
That's true. You're like Luke Walton. We can't tell when you guys are getting booed or cheered. It doesn't make any sense.
That's the beauty of our names.
Yep. Hey, thank you for doing this, man. We'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.
You too. There's Luc Robitaille.